Haliburton does it again. How do the Pacers keep getting away with this? Did Rick Carlisle outmaneuver Mark Daigneault, or did Dags play himself? Adam Silver talks expansion, AllStar Game, and reducing the regular season. We're going to talk about it all today on Locked On NBA.
You are Locked On NBA, your daily NBA podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome to Locked On NBA. Thanks so much for making us your first listen of the day. We are free. We are available wherever you get podcasts, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Right now, new customers can get $200 in bonus bets when your first $5 bet wins. I'm Doug Branson, host of Locked On Hornets and your Shot Clock Sherpa, guiding you through the NBA's biggest stories every day with the help of Locked On's local experts. And I have two of the best with me, as always, from the Locked On Nuggets podcast. He's senior NBA writer for the Action Network. It's Matt Moore. Matt, which stat is more insane from last night? Tyrese Haliburton has hit a game-winning shot in the last 1.1 seconds of every single playoff series this postseason, or that's the last game-winning shot with under a second to go in an NBA Finals since Michael Jordan in 1997.
It's the first one. He's hit one in every series. He's hit one in every series? He's hit one in every series! That's insane!
And from the Locked On Bulls podcast, we've got Haize. Haize, what is more insane? That the Thunder had 18 fewer turnovers, they had a 15-point lead in the fourth quarter and still lost, or that the Pacers led for 0.3 seconds in this game, and they still somehow won.
Listen, all that matters is who has the lead at the end of the game, right? That's all that matters. Lead throughout all the game. But they won it. That's the most important thing. It's crazy. That whole entire story of that game is wild. So
It is crazy. And the pregame analysis, though, I thought the pregame analysis on this show and on lots of shows, it was sound and agreed upon by a vast majority of pundits. The Pacers absolutely couldn't turn the basketball over. Tyrese Haliburton had to be aggressive. We'll throw out all the analysis because St. Hallie delivered miracles. Matt, can you believe what we just witnessed?
No, but yes. So if you had told me like, hey, they're going to have a minus 15 turnover margin or whatever, but that the Thunder are going to score 0.64 points per possession off of turnovers, I've been like, that's not good for OKC. If you told me the 3-point margin, I would have been like, that's not good for OKC. If you told me that Mark Daigneault was going to change his starting lineup before game one of the finals after you have won 68 games with the best point differential in NBA history, I would have said, that's not good for the Thunder. All that said, incredible shot making and resolve by the Pacers, and they did what they've done all year, which is it's like, man, they can't get rid of them. They just can't get rid of them. And this game was like a mixture of the Nuggets series and every Pacers series we've seen, where it's like, man, OKC should be up more by this. Why aren't they up? But they are up. But they're up. But they're up. Well, they're still up. Well, they're up by a little. Well, okay, they're still up. Nope, they lost. And it's just like, it's an absolutely insane. This is, if you're a Pacers fan, enjoy this. This is one of the most fun, insane runs. You will never forget this run, including game one of the finals.
Coach Daigneault, coach scared. Like when you make an adjustment before game one, to me, that tells me that you're scared of something. And what have I been saying? What have I been drilling home? Rick Carlisle is the X factor in this one. But, you know, it was more than just that. The Pacers' ability to play for full 48 minutes and never give up. They just keep chipping away. They refuse to die. That's something that the Thunder haven't really faced a lot over this playoff run so far. The Pacers are going to be a tough out. The Thunder very well could come back and win the next 4 games. I'm just saying that they're going to be a tough 4 games to win. Whatever those 4 games the Thunder win, if they win 4 against the Pacers, are going to be tough. This is a very difficult team to scheme out of things because they're relentless. They don't stop, and they come at you for so many different angles. They have just as much depth as the Thunder. I don't know what to say.
All right, we're going to talk more about the coaching decisions pregame and during the game later on in the show, and we'll talk about adjustments for Game 2. But first, to the victors go the first clip. Here's Locked On Pacers host Tony East with Derek Kramer.
did it again. If you can't believe it, well, you haven't been watching the Pacers. These are their kind of games. They come back from 15 down in the fourth quarter. Tyrese Haliburton at the buzzer. This is just what they do. Pacers 1, Thunder 0. This one, in some ways, felt a little different than the rest of their comebacks, but it had to be Haliburton, right? Like, no one was cooking like Aaron Nesmith was the last time. There wasn't any gaffes from the other team. I was asking players in the locker room after the game, do you expect this? And I'm mostly asking it because I don't know how you feel, but in the MSG moment when he starts dribbling with the floor, I thought, okay, I've seen Ty do this twice. Like, I think he can do it again. This time I was like, he's going to score. Like, I have seen him do this so many times. They're not even down 3 this time. Like, he is going to score. And he did. And the players feel the same way. They just trust him to do this thing on this stage, and he did it.
I just want to say first that Tony East, the Blazer look is working for you. I love that. Second, Matt, as great as that Haliburton shot was, is it obscuring the total team effort that it took in the fourth quarter? Take me beyond Haliburton and explain to me how the Pacers stayed in this game through 3 quarters and went flames in the last 7 minutes, including that Nembhard when he cooked SGA. I mean, Haliburton, that's the shot that people are going to remember, but that Nembhard step back was insane.
Yeah, and like that's a killer shot, right? And that honestly is this is the most cliche thing you're ever going to hear me say. It is a big time player making a big time shot, because like there's no other way to really get around this, because look, the Thunder kept them out of the paint, but the Pacers are like, I've said this consistently, that the Pacers are a team that are going to say, whatever you give us, we'll take. Are you going to give us threes? Then we'll take those. You're going to give us layups? We'll take those. You're going to give us mid-range? We'll take those. Whatever you give them, they will take, and they are able to make them. And the Nembhard shot was huge. But what I don't want to get lost. How about this in the fourth quarter? 8 points from Miles Turner, 6 points from Obi Toppin, 14 from Miles and Obi in a matchup where I think everyone thought that the Thunder had a huge front court advantage. The Pacers front court kept them in this game and helped them win this game. They were absolutely phenomenal. Obi Toppin was a plus 17 in the fourth quarter. What a phenomenal. And then after the first 5 minutes, people were like, oh, Obi Toppin can't play in this series. Look how rattled he is. He can't play in this series. Well, Obi, you shut everybody up, because he was the secret part of why they won this game, Haize.
Yeah, and that 14 points that came between Obi Toppin and Miles Turner, that came in the midst of a 16-6 run. So all but 2 points in that run came from Miles Turner and Obi Toppin. Yes, what happened at the end of that game, the last 2 minutes and 38 seconds where the Pacers went on the 12-2 run, was more balanced there. But like, what got them even in that position was that run with Miles Turner and Obi Toppin. But everybody in this game had their moments. Ben Mathurin hit some big shots at points in this game. Like, this team, Matt said it perfectly. They're going to take whatever you give them, but not only are they just going to take it, they're going to excel at it, force you to adjust, and then they're going to say, okay, well, now you're giving us a 3. Okay, we'll take that too. Like, it's going to be so difficult to figure out a scheme to really slow this down. The Thunder, what they've been great at is taking away what teams do best. Okay, what do you do now when a team can do everything best depending on what the situation is? That's going to be what Mike Daigneault is going to have to figure out in this series.
Balanced scoring attack, so many players that can score in different ways. Siakam was the leading scorer in this game, and then the lineups that worked best for them in the fourth quarter didn't even feature Siakam, so it is insane. Let's flip it to OKC. Locked on Thunder, Rylan Stiles didn't waste time or mince words about why the Thunder find themselves suddenly down 0-1.
24 turnovers for Indiana. Listen to me, Church. They didn't turn the ball over in the fourth quarter, but 3 times. Most of that happened in that first, second, and third quarter, in those segments of games which the Thunder typically blow teams out of the water. What changed tonight was execution. What changed tonight was, off of those 24 turnovers, off of 24 Indiana turnovers, Oklahoma City had 11 points. 11 points off turnovers. That's shooting yourself in the foot. That's not going to play. That's not going to work. Whenever you have an offense that can go so stale in the half court, you have to be able to thrive in transition. That's what this whole house of cards is built on. It's built on getting out in transition and capitalizing.
Listen to me, Church. Rylan in the pulpit trying to calm the flock right now. Haize, he compares the Thunder there to a house of cards, and it did kind of feel like they folded, or at least tightened up, as they tried desperately to protect that lead in the fourth quarter. Is that what you saw? Yeah,
for sure. The Thunder, they felt like the team that that didn't know what to do. It was like they were scrambling down the stretch, whereas the Pacers just seemed like a team was like, okay, this is the situation. We're going to be okay. We're going to keep it pushing. And between that and the coaching, like the Thunder have to find a way to shoot the ball better. They shot the ball like crap for the majority of this game, and that's what allowed the Pacers to stay in this game. There's a point where the Pacers had 13 turnovers at one point, and the Pacers were only down by 8. And that's when I was like, okay, it's crazy the discrepancy here, but they're not out of this game, and you're gonna have to figure out a way to just to cut their throats. You're gonna have to figure out a way to bring it home. And so hopefully this is something that the Thunder can learn from. We've seen them add a big loss against Denver. They responded back out with a blowout victory, and maybe that happens in this game. But if they can't stop the bleeding, I know it's only one game in, but now you've made game 2 a must-win game. You cannot go to Indiana down 0-2. You just cannot. There's no way you can do that.
I got to go back and kind of watch some of this. The secret unsung hero of this game was the Pacers defense. Okay. Because their half-court, the whole thing in the series was, look, if the Pacers can shorten the margins where OKC is so dominant, loose balls, deflections, points off turnovers, all that extra stuff, if they can shorten that and just make this a shot series, then they've got a shot to win. And they literally had the shot to win. But what was interesting is that you look at it and you go, but they forced the turnovers. Yeah, but they didn't score off of them. And I think that this is like a really crucial point in understanding basketball that we like, especially on a stat side, we talk about these 4 factors, right, from Dean Oliver, which is turnovers, effective field goal percentage, offensive rebound percentage, and I forget the other one. But in those margins, when you look at what matters is, can you score off of them? Because in the half court, the Thunder in this game were less efficient than the Pacers. They scored 0.96 points per possession to 0.97. That's how close the margin was. It was 1 percentage point, but that's the difference in this game. Off of turnovers, off of steals. So you get the ball and you're pushing in transition off of a turnover. They only had 11 of those opportunities, OKC did, and they only scored 0.636 points per possession via Synergy Sport. That's a lot of numbers. So let me just break it down. If you do not take advantage of all the things that you're built to do, the Thunder are not the best offense in the league. The Thunder are not the most explosive offense in the league. They do not have like overwhelming scoring. It is good offense, elite defense. But if that elite defense does not translate and the pace, and you run into a team that can defend you, then you're in this kind of a situation. And that's where I think the coaching edge really starts to show up in this series.
Coming up on Locked On NBA, we're going to talk about those adjustments that were made pregame by Mark Daigneault. Did he get outcoached by Rick Carlisle? And what adjustments does each team need to make heading into Game 2? That's all ahead on Locked On NBA. Today's episode of Locked On NBA is brought to you by FanDuel. The NBA playoffs are at full throttle. Highlight dunks, wild momentum swings. I mean, talk about it in that game. And players showing up in huge moments. If you're locked into every single game like we have been this entire postseason, why not turn that energy into a win? FanDuel makes it super easy to get in on the action. I've been tracking playoff performances all postseason long and jumping into same-game parlays based on how things unfold. If I see a player heating up mid-game, I'm adding a prop on the fly. You can even combine live bets as the game changes. There are just more ways to play smart and cash in. After going into Game 1 as a 9.5-point dog, the Pacers are now an 11-point dog in Game 2. No respect. You can also get prop bets on SGA and Haliburton. And here's the best part. If you're new to FanDuel, now's the perfect time. Sign up. Place your first $5 bet, and if it wins, you're going to get $200 in bonus bets. So why wait? Make every moment more with FanDuel, the official sports betting partner of the NBA. More Locked On NBA ahead. Thanks for making Locked On NBA your first listen every day. We're one of the most listened to podcasts on the Locked On Podcast Network, and we're on a mission to become the most watched show on the network as well. If you've been listening for a long time, please support the show with a subscription on YouTube. Just hit the sub button. Whenever the lights are the brightest and the margins are this close, you're going to dig down into the details and question every single call from the coaches. Lots of raised eyebrows around a starting lineup change by the 68-win Thunder and Mark Daigneault. Isaiah Hartenstein goes to the bench. Second-year wing defender Cason Wallace enters. Let's go back to Rylan Stiles, who says his eyebrows were firmly in place because this is who Dags is.
A lot of people today, including on this network, and I respect the opinions, we'll talk about Mark overthinking this. And you can argue that and have a ton of credibility behind it. But to me, this was Mark staying true to his identity. He uses game one as a feel-out process, whether you like that or not. I think that that's what you can question versus, oh, did he overthink it? Is he in over his head? I think that even down to changing the starting lineup, because you feel like that they were better with a solo big against Minnesota, and they were, and you feel like that the solo big helps them keep the pace against Indiana better, and it did. Like the changing the starting five, no matter who's favored or not, it's not played in Vegas. These games are played on the hardwood. Yes, the Thunder were the favorites, and yes, they were the first to adjust, but the adjustment worked. They controlled this game the entire way, and they controlled this game even more when they had one big on the floor, flanked by point of attack perimeter guys.
Matt, agree or disagree with Ryland's assessment?
Man, it worked. And the Thunder are now up 1-0. Only 3 more, Ryland. Wait, no, that's not how that works. Here's the deal. Isaiah Hartenstein is +7 in this game. He does not start, nor does he close against what has been accurately, numerically described as the best starting unit in the playoffs, +16.4 for the Pacers starters. I love Cason Wallace. I have property on Cason Wallace Island. This was a nightmare decision by Dags. You cannot, from your high ground position, try and outthink yourself here. I don't mind going deep in the rotation in a feel-out situation. Yes, AJ Mitchell was -3, sure, and those 3 points would have been awfully valuable when Tyrese Haliburton's jumper dropped in. But the bigger problem here was getting away from your identity, from how you have won these games. Ryland tries to argue this is who Dags is. No, Dags has been the guy who's been starting the 2 bigs because that's his best lineup. Cason Wallace in this game finished -13, Haize, in a game that they lost by 1. I love Cason Wallace. He overthought it. He got too much in his head. He galaxy brained this. I actually don't think this was a panic move, Haize. I think this was arrogance and hubris from Dags.
Ooh, a little bit of overconfidence there, Matt. Is that what you're saying?
Yes.
I mean, it could be. It was mind-boggling to me when I heard that Isaiah Hartenstein was going to be coming off the bench, because it did not seem like that was the move that needed to be done before we even seen a single game in this series. Now, I can see if the first half didn't go your way, in the second half you want to make a change to the starting lineup. If that works, then you start off game 2 with that lineup. I can see that. I can understand that. But I can't agree with Ryland here. And no shots to him. Ryland's one of my favorite hosts on the whole entire Locked On network, only second to I'm not going to play favoritism here. But this seems like a level of copium that I understand, because I would be frustrated too. But to try to sell this like, oh, it worked, it did not work. Now, what the Thunder were able to use the steals and stuff like that to stay ahead of this game for the majority of it, and that's great. They have something that they can look at. If they shoot the ball better, maybe we're not talking about this. But to act like this was just a game plan that worked, it did not work. It just didn't, and they shouldn't have done it at this point.
Okay, I'm going to just steel man this a little bit and say that it feels like we might be playing the results a little bit here, because they were up significantly through most of this game. Mm-hmm. And I will say we just got done punishing Tibbs a lot for not making adjustments. And so then to just jump on top of Dags here for making some stuff. Go ahead, Haize.
But is it technically an adjustment if you do it before you play the team? That's not an adjustment.
Well, it's an anticipatory adjustment. Okay, let's shout out Rick Carlisle for keeping the Pacers' heads together, keeping their perspective and trusting his team in the final moments. He got a shout out from Haliburton postgame for not calling that timeout, for trusting the team. Haize, you've been on top of this. Rick Carlisle, did the finals experience show up for the Pacers in game 1?
I think it did. I think it really did that. And I think a team's able to be poised when you trust the game plan that your coach comes up with. When you feel a big level of confidence in that game plan, you don't panic. You don't get frantic. You just trust what you guys are doing. Win, lose, or draw, you go out there and execute. And that's what the Pacers have done this whole entire playoff run. So I think that a lot needs to be put on Rick Carlisle for having this team ready to go on the coaching job that he's been doing here.
I just keep looking at the way that they funneled SGA in this game, and SGA had a really great scoring game. Like, again, it's like, well, the Thunder led for this entire game. If you take a look at, if you break this down into components, Doug, a lot of it winds up being like, oh, that's very Pacers favorable. They made SGA into a scorer without passing and shut off the other stuff. They stayed home very well. Mm-hmm. Like, everything that you would script into a Pacers win, they get, not everything, a lot you would script into a Pacers win, they got. Now they only won by 1, which is what's interesting about this, right? That's probably promising for OKC. That shows you the margin here, but this is the thing. Each game is its own thing. You got to win. Like you're at a high, you have an advantage. You should win, but you got to do the thing. And the Thunder didn't in game 1.
Well, yeah, and if you're going to play someone like Case and Wallace over Hartenstein, it makes that execution gap between the turnovers and the execution. I think it makes it even wider. And
Yes.
and the SGA thing, funneling him. I think there could have been more opportunities for more offense off of SGA, in an iHeart situation. So we'll have to see if there's an adjustment to the adjustment. And I want to keep talking about adjustments because you mentioned there, Matt, SGA, you got a great game from the MVP, but what about the supporting cast? Chet, 6 points, 6 rebounds, and sort of an underwhelming game from Jalen Williams. I'll ask about that coming up. And if we have time, we'll talk about some of these Adam Silver quotes before game 1 of the NBA Finals on expansion, on reducing the schedule. We'll get some thumbs up and thumbs down from Matt and Haize on the other side. Locked On NBA. Thanks again for making Locked On NBA your first listen every day. Let's look ahead to Game 2 on Sunday and talk adjustments. Here's Tony East and Derek Kramer of Locked On Pacers, who say there's still a lot to clean up despite the win.
I think the bench minutes need to be better. The Siakam plus bench groups were not effective. Those groups were huge in winning the series against the Knicks. They need to see a little bit more from those groups, I think. Anything else?
You're hoping that as the series goes on, that you get better at taking care of the ball. I don't know if that's true. I'd have to look at the Nuggets situation to see if they committed less turnovers as that series went. But you think with how good the Pacers are at making adjustments, looking at film, trying to find ways, like hopefully they figure out a way to like kind of be better about knowing when those steals are coming.
Okay, pick a team and give me an adjustment. Haize, we'll start with you. Which team needs to make the biggest adjustment heading into game 2?
Pacers, they have to be better prepared for the turnovers because I could tell you what, as bad as the Thunder shot this game, 38%, I wouldn't bet on them shooting the ball that bad again. And if they keep forcing you into turnovers like they did, it's going to be very difficult to come out of that deficit if you put yourself in that hole again. So the Pacers are going to have to do what they did there. I think they were the 4th lowest turnovers in the league, something like that during the regular season. They're going to have to keep those turnovers low because if you allow that to keep being the story of the series, I don't know if it's going to go in your favor as many times as you need it to.
I think the Thunder have got to do a little bit better job of getting into their stuff and not necessarily targeting as much. They ran so many guard screens in this game, and I didn't necessarily love all the actions that they were able to generate off of that. I think they were probably going to need to initiate a little bit more with J-Dub. Look, J-Dub had a bad game. He'll bounce back. I think he'll be better in game 2. I don't know about Chet Holmgren. Like, that's a really interesting question here for me, Doug, is like a lot of smart people, and I didn't weigh in on this, but a lot of smart people that I trust were like, this is a Chet Holmgren series. It's not an Isaiah Hartenstein series. I don't know if I agree. I think a lot of people were going off of the fact that Miles Turner never pops off the page to you, but Turner was great in this game. He was great in this game. They got to get a body who can extend to the 3-point line on him and be able to contain. They played drop coverage with Chet Holmgren, and I didn't like a single one of those looks, even though the overall defensive stuff was pretty good. Like if we here's the thing. Yes, the turnovers are probably going to come. But if we take out the turnovers, the Pacers offense was way too efficient. So the Thunder are going to have to do a better job of being able to guard jumpers as well. Like they're used to forcing these misses, and they didn't do it in game 1. So I think OKC's got a lot on both ends of the floor, even with this narrow loss and even with having led until 0.3 seconds. I think there's a lot that OKC needs to clean up.
Yeah, they won the rebounding battle in this game. 13 offensive rebounds for the Pacers for 12 second chance points, 11 second chance points for Oklahoma City. But I think that's a margin they probably have to win or at least reduce somewhat in game 2. Let us know what you think on YouTube, youtube.com/@LockedOnNBA in the comments. Matt, are you amending your finals prediction in light of what took place last night? I believe yesterday you had the Thunder in 5.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think Thunder in 5 is happening now. It's definitely going longer. I'll be honest, I'm pretty shook because one thing I did not want was for Pacers to take game 1 and from a prediction standpoint. And now it's like, look, everyone's going to, you've already seen this. You talked about it with the line at FanDuel. Everyone's going to be like, oh, well, the Thunder bounce back and they win game 2 by a lot. Okay, but we thought about that with the Cavs. We thought about that with the Knicks, and then they did not. Like the Pacers now are like, oh no, we can beat this team. You don't want to be there. I'm pretty shook right now, Haize.
Haize, are we in danger of overreacting?
Yeah, I think we are a little bit. I think that but it's a natural. It's an understandable overreacting with the way that game went. But I'm not changing my prediction yet. What did I say? Thunder in 5. I'll still hold on to that until I see how the Thunder and Pacers adjust going into game 2. But you know, I understand where Matt's coming from because it's definitely it's definitely a game that could shake the way that you thought if you had the Thunder winning the series easily.
All right, Locked On NBA Game Night. We'll be covering Game 2 over the weekend. Make sure it's on this feed, so just subscribe here, and you'll get those episodes over the weekend. They'll have more coverage of the NBA Finals. Just in the final few minutes here, I want to shift gears to NBA Commissioner Adam Silver, who met with the media before Game 1 and hit on a number of hot topics around the league. We're going to dive into each of these more deeply throughout the summer, but I just wanted to get a quick thumbs up, thumbs down from each of you on what you heard on these topics while they're in the news. First, expansion. Adam Silver saying it will be discussed in next month's Board of Governors meeting, and he expects the owners to recommend formally exploring it. Matt, thumbs up, thumbs down on expansion.
I mean, thumbs up. I just want more basketball. How about more teams, fewer games? Can we get that? Can we get more teams, fewer games, and get that kind of monetary balance out there? I'm just excited to have basketball back in Seattle. It's going to be Seattle and Vegas. Seattle should get their ownership group cracking very soon. And then I think with the Las Vegas team, there's a lot of thoughts that LeBron was going to be the one. I've heard a little bit of mixed reporting on that. I'm really interested to see how that goes with the Fenway group and who winds up owning that Vegas franchise, because it's obviously going to be so valuable. It will not be the Dumont Mavericks, by the way. That's not happening.
Haize, thumbs up, thumbs down, and Seattle, Vegas, done deal, or do you think another city could sneak in there?
No, I think that those are the two cities that make the most sense to me. So I say thumbs up, done deal there.
The toughest battle is going to be in the owners' meetings for which team in the West gets to go east. They need to do it like Dark Knight, where they break the pool stick and then throw it to them, and have Robert Pera versus Mark Lowry, have those guys battle it out for who gets to go east.
Yeah, that would be entertaining, at least, I think. All-Star Game. Silver said that the All-Star Game will be some kind of USA versus international format, similar but not finalized, similar to the NHL Four Nations face-off, but it's not going to be a USA versus world straight-up one game. Haize, thumbs up or thumbs down on this All-Star Game rethink?
It feels gimmicky to me. I'd have to see the execution of it, but right now, thumbs down.
No thumb for me. Look, we got these great playoffs. We got all these amazing matchups. Tyrese Haliburton has 4 game winners or whatever in the last second of the game. This is real basketball. I do not care about the All-Star Game. They won't show me they care, and maybe we can talk about it. But Doug, I will say this: if they do a Team Africa, that's going to be really interesting, because a lot of those guys have a lot of pride from where they're from. I think that would be a really interesting switch up with Team Africa, Team Europe, Team North America, and then I don't know. We're going to have to come up with something for the 4th team, but still, that'd be very interesting.
I can't think of the names off the top of my head, but I've seen a few articles about Team Jamaica loading up for the next Olympics. So yeah, there could be some interesting teams assembled for a possible tournament. We'll see. Finally, on reducing the schedule, he said, quote, "I don't really see the benefit to reducing the number of games. People used to say you should reduce the number of games because it will lead to a reduction in a number of injuries. We have absolutely no data to suggest that." I already know the answer, but I'll go ahead and ask you, Matt, thumbs up, thumbs down on that.
Screaming, raging, poisonous.
I wish I had 3 thumbs.
If I had 7 thumbs, I would give them all down on this. I don't see the benefit. The benefit is better games. The benefit is listening to your players that recognize how much this is draining them. The benefit is listening to your players who say they do not have enough energy for the postseason when this is supposed to matter, when we get the most games and the most attention. The benefit is for better matchups with more lead up time for us to be able to break down these games. The benefit is that it makes a better basketball product, man. I get what the data is telling you. The players are telling you something else. We're missing something in the data. I recognize the research the league has done in this, but everyone feels this way. The game will be better if we reduce the number of games, Haize.
Yeah, even if you just go down, like cut 6 to 7 games, like it doesn't have to be like a drastic amount. Like I think just that could help. I think we talked about it here before. Like just work into every team gets a bye week over the course of the season. That cuts out 3-4 games right there. Like that gives you some rest, something like that. To say that you don't understand how it benefits at all is questionable to me, especially as you're adding tournaments and all this type of stuff. Like cut the games just a little bit. Cut the games.
I think there has to be a recognition that the types of injuries are changing, even if you don't want to look at just raw numbers and say the number of injuries are changing, and particularly like to star players who are taking on more and running more and those type of injuries that are happening in the playoffs. I think like when you dig into the numbers and you look at the types of injuries, it's changing from how it used to be. Also, I don't know how you can complain, and I've heard complaints from Adam Silver and others about the number of games that young people are playing leading up to them even getting into some kind of college system before getting to the NBA, these AAU programs. How can you complain about the mileage that young people are putting on and then not say that there could be some issue with the number of games that people are playing? So yeah, a lot more to discuss there this summer. Just really quickly, favorite things of the week. We do it every Friday. What have you seen this week that has been your favorite thing, Haize?
I mean, am I going to pick anything other than Tyrese Haliburton's game winner last night? Like that was the best thing of the week. Waiting all week for basketball. We had no basketball this week at all, and to get that game and that ending, I know it's an easy pick. I'm not picking anything other than that. That was my favorite thing of the week.
This is going to make me sound like a shill. I promise I'm not. I really feel this way. It's getting the opportunity for our Locked On hosts in Rylan Stiles and Tony East to be able to get this kind of exposure and this kind of platform to cover the finals. I've done Locked On NBA before with Tony East. He's absolutely one of my favorite guys to talk basketball with. Tony is so easygoing. He's funny. He's smart. He's insightful, and he's really well balanced. Rylan does a very good job of staying very even keeled on Locked On Thunder and really dives into things. And he does an absolutely awesome job. So it's getting to see those guys on a little bit more of a cynical edge. It's reports this morning that Jason Kidd is going to interview for the New York Knicks head job. That's funny. Things turn awfully quick on trading Luka Doncic, and all of a sudden Jason Kidd's on his way out. Some Tigers do not change their stripes, Doug.
Yeah, we got that news late. We'll talk more about that next week as well as that story develops. So is the new reporting that he is going to interview? Because I saw Stein say that they were going to ask for permission to interview him. So you've seen reporting that he's actually going to interview?
No, I think it's just I do not anticipate them denying Kidd that. I think if that got leaked and where it got leaked to, leads me to believe that interview will take place.
If you like what you heard today, subscribe to Locked On NBA wherever you get podcasts, including on YouTube. Thanks so much to Matt and Haize for their expertise every day. Thank you for making Locked On NBA your first listen. For your second listen, check out the Locked On NBA Big Board Show. NBA draft expert Rafael Barlow reacts to every workout, interview, and rumor leading up to the NBA draft. Find Locked On NBA Big Board on YouTube or wherever you listen to podcasts. Game 2 on Sunday. Enjoy our beautiful game this weekend. Be kind to each other, and we're going to see you right back here next week on Locked On NBA.